everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited today. We're doing a bonus episode. We're talking about the show The Rookie, which is coming to Uptv, came this week. And I had never seen it. I knew really nothing about it. And it's excited to get to be introduced to it. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Mary's here.
Hello.
Yeah, so I'm so excited that you agreed to join me for this, and you're a big fan, correct?
I am a huge fan of The
Yeah.
Rookie. This has been on since 2018. I've watched every season, and I've been the type. I'm jealous for these now that we'll be able to just stream it or watch it nightly, a few episodes a night on UpTV, but I've been
Yeah.
watching it on ABC, waiting a week between each episode, waiting months between each season, the old-fashioned way, because
Yeah.
I've loved it so much.
Yeah, it's just amazing how much television there is. Like
Hmm.
I really do kind of baffle at anyone who says that they're bored. Just television alone. Like it's you can't watch it all. Like I swear every day somebody's like, this is an amazing show. You should totally watch it. I'm
Yes.
like, there's
And
only
I've
so
not I
many
haven't heard of that.
hours.
Yes. It used to be like you'd call them water cooler topics in your
Yeah.
office. Everybody had watched the show the night before on prime time. Everybody watched it. They all talked about
Yeah.
it the next day. But now there are so many different options, so many streaming
Yeah.
services and platforms. I'll see somebody post about a show and I think, "Oh, do I need to go buy that channel to watch that show? It looks good."
Yeah,
And
it's true. Well,
yeah.
and like there used to be a thing of like shows would stay around for a long time because they
Mm.
would get a bump off of a popular show.
Hmm.
I think the that two what was it? Two guys, a girl, and a pizza place or whatever that show. It was
Yeah.
like forever. And then like true two broke girls
Mhm.
like these shows that just happen to be after Big Bang Theory or happen to be after How I Met Your Mother, or there were
Mhm.
all of these rules of engagement. I think that was after Seinfeld. And so they would get this bump
Mhm.
because of what preceded them, which is not with streaming, that's no longer a thing.
That's exactly right. Television lineups and everything. I would wait to
Yeah.
see what's coming out and what's gonna,
Right.
oh, that's a good spot. They're gonna have that right after The Office, and now it's
Yeah.
like it's just pick and choose, and the algorithm
Yeah.
says, oh, you watch this, maybe you'll like this. And hopefully people listen to this podcast and think, okay, those ladies liked this show, or here's what they've said about the show. Maybe I'll try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Well,
that's all you'd have now.
yeah, no, I mean it's true. Like you need some way to kind of wade through it all. And at least hopefully we can come at things from a rom-com fan, from a Hallmark fan kind of perspective. And so our listeners, they'd be like, okay, I think I have a handle
Yeah, I
on
kind of
whether,
match. Yeah.
yeah, like it's good to do that because if like say our perspective on something like this versus like NYPD Blue or something like more gritty
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? Like it's going to be very different. And
Yes.
so you kind of want to know like what kind of commentary you're getting. And I think people know
Ex
that with us.
exactly. I will joke with people that after watching so many Christmas movies, Hallmark Christmas movies, by the time January comes, I'm ready to like swing the pendulum over to like a police crime drama or
Yeah.
detective murder,
Yeah.
but not full on to some of the stuff out there. Yeah, I can't
Sure,
take
sure.
my stomach and I have children. I have to have this one.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this. This one I do watch when my children are in bed. My teenagers, they can see
Yeah.
scenes from this just fine.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, how did you even hear about it? Do you remember?
So I love Nathan Fillion. My
Okay.
family, my siblings are all what we like to term brown coats, meaning fans of Firefly back in the day.
Uh-huh.
A little
Uh-huh.
shout out to our Firefly fans. And so Nathan Fillion has just always been a fan. We've always been fans of him. And when I saw that a new show is coming with him, I thought, I got to try this. And I've just been hooked since then.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I watched a little bit of Castle.
Yes.
Yeah, that I watched a little bit of that. Uh but uh but uh yeah, and of course Firefly.
Yeah.
And he is incredibly charming
So
of an
so
actor.
charming, so aw shucksy, his
Yeah.
smile. I mean, he just looks like a real person,
Uh-huh.
and that
Yeah.
makes sense. And
Mhm.
and some people in the beginning were like, is this going to be like Castle? A similar vibe, but it's different enough that
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. Yeah, it got a little bit grittier than I was expecting.
Hmm.
Like
Just you
in
wait,
these
Rachel.
two episodes. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. but yeah, it is, I guess, now filming the eighth season. So the eighth
Yes.
season will air in 2026.
Hmm.
And so that's a pretty impressive run. And
Yep.
they're still keeping the seasons pretty long. They had one in 2024. This season was only 10, probably because of the strike,
Hmm.
I'm guessing. Because the strike was in 2023. So I'm guessing that's why for that one was shorter. But for the most part, 18 to 20 episodes. So way to
Yeah.
go.
You
Yeah.
get some good arcs, you get some good stories with different
Yeah.
characters, and each season, so it's not just about Nathan Fillion. Like there's a cast, and
Yeah.
each season those character arcs kind of grow, and you see characters come and go,
Yeah.
and some stick around. Like maybe they just kind of came in, and then they get a whole story, and he
Yeah.
shares that with, it wasn't like this is just my show. It's, hey,
Yeah.
this whole cast is deserving of storylines and
Yeah.
things like that.
Because you see, kids, we used to back in the day, way back in the day, we used to get seasons of our favorite television shows every year, and they
Hmm.
would have 20 plus episodes
Yep.
every year.
Listen, kids.
And now you're like, ooh, they gave us seven. You're just like, what?
I know. Goodness, I think The Gilded Age I'm watching on Sunday nights, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we're almost done with this.
Yeah.
It's been three episodes. We got maybe two more, and then,
Yes. You
they're
wait
pretty short.
2, 3 years sometimes in between seasons, and then you finally get things, which is
Next
hard
one.
because it's hard not to feel a little, to have your expectations are so built up at that point that it's
Yep.
hard to not be a little disappointed, even
Yeah,
if it's still good,
I agree. I know.
you
I
know?
love a good show where you can really have a lot of episodes, kind of get into it. And again, I'm jealous of
Yeah.
those who are going to be watching The Rookie and hit next episode, next episode.
Yeah.
I'll just watch
It
another
does
one.
feel like it would be a pretty good one to binge.
Yes, my brother
Yeah.
is binging it now on my recommendation. I told him years ago to watch the show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I think he's in season 5, and he's texting me, "Oh my goodness, this and this and this." And I say, "I can't tell you. I can't tell you."
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind the scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the basic premise. So we're going to talk about the pilot and the second episode here, but we have John Nolan, 45-year-old newly divorced man from Pennsylvania, who 9 months after helping police officers during a bank robbery in his hometown, Foxburg, moves to Los Angeles to pursue a new career as a police officer in the LAPD. After graduating from the police academy as the oldest rookie on the force, Nolan must navigate the dangerous, unpredictable nature of his job. He is determined to make it in his new career despite the challenges. So that's the premise. What do you think stands out to you about this premise?
I just loved this idea of somebody who was roughly my age starting over in this new career because he felt called to it.
Yeah.
That is really, hopefully, that will resonate with other people as well, that he's decided, you know what, maybe I can do some good in the world, and I need to kind of figure out who I am now after all these life changes. And so that's what the key is. And this character, he is so good to the core, and he wants to make a difference in the world, and he just thinks he's a good officer too, and you
Yeah.
see that in the first couple episodes.
Yeah, you get the feeling that he was kind of coasting and just
Hmm.
letting other people make his life choices. for
Absolutely.
him. And and then this bank robbery, which they show at the beginning, is definitely a wake-up call for him.
Yes,
You know.
absolutely. And he recognizes that he's got some talents and things that have been dormant. And also the talents that he has as a longtime house contractor come to play in
Mm,
the series as well. I think you see a little touch of that in these first episodes. Something that
uh-huh.
he knows, his knowledge helps him. But
Yeah.
this
And it,
idea of changing your life, yeah, it's
and at
cool.
first I was confused about like why does he need to be in LA? Like why couldn't he be a police officer anywhere? But I guess that the LAPD is one of just two agencies that accepts new officers over the age of 37.
Oh, that
So
makes
that's
sense.
why he had
Yeah.
to. And I mean, I guess it makes sense because of just the physical demands of
Hmm.
the job, but and maybe I'm a little surprised that it's that high.
Yeah, I
But
know.
yeah,
Such a large city. Well, and and some cities have had trouble recruiting officers, and so in order,
yeah,
you would think that maybe you could kind of raise the age range and maybe still use those talents and skills of somebody of that age. But you see in the first episodes that Sergeant Gray is not happy about this. He's like,
yes,
"Why are
yeah,
you
that was
here?
interesting.
You're wasting my time. I'm going to get you washed out." You
Well,
and
yeah, he doesn't want to be part of his second act inspirational story,
yes.
and
And
that's what he
his
thinks.
training officer Tanya is also has a chip on her shoulder against him because she says you're too old, you already have these life experiences. If you're younger, you're more trainable, you don't
Uh-huh.
have I don't know, some of those things that can be gifts as well, but to her, like, too much compassion is a problem. He needs to be like
Yeah,
detached from and just robot, let me do my training. um
it's
so
true. I mean, she says like seeing a child die, it changes you.
yes.
And
Hmm.
so that like not having that kind of protective shield that
Uh-huh.
she's built up is worrisome to her,
Hmm.
you know.
Exactly.
But he could probably communicate with people in a way that would be helpful because he's not as jaded.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And not young. And, he maybe people trust him more because they
Hmm.
say, oh, look at this guy. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not trust Nathan Fillion? Just his name.
That twinkle. I mean, I swear
Yeah.
his eye has a twinkle in
I
it.
think it does. Yeah, that's true. I guess this was based on a true story that this man he did. It says the man whose story inspired the premise of the show was later revealed to be William Norcross, a college friend of executive producer John Steinberg's, who based the show on his story. Norcross continues to serve in the LAPD and also as executive producer on The Rookie. So
I did not know that. That's kind
yeah,
of cool.
that is
There's
fun.
some basis for this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it is produced in Los Angeles, so
Yes, filmed
that's
there.
fun.
I'll sometimes see behind the scenes on social media of where they've been like shutting down a street to do some filming and stuff, and it's kind of
Hmm.
fun. The
Yeah,
Mid
yeah.
Wilshire Police Department, that is the precinct, I think, that they are working out of.
Hmm.
And as the seasons go on, you'll see some crossover with SWAT or with another department. They even have tried crossing over with different ABC TV shows like
Oh,
federal
really? I
marshals.
didn't know that.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see some federal agents come in that are actually on another show that I think ABC was trying to
Oh,
kind of launch. So
that's cool. I didn't realize that. I
yeah,
love when
it
they
was
do
later
that.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's kind of
fun.
fun.
Yeah. Well, so it starts out him getting the divorce papers, and then it shows the bank robbery. And he's like, this is the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me.
He's that part is so funny, and he's so observant. He
Yeah.
notices, wait a minute, I could help here. And so then he starts kind of rambling about, I mean, I've lived my whole life and blah, 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 what do I even know? And
Yeah.
the
What's
bank
my
robber's like,
dream?
yeah, the bank robber's like, what? He's so courageous to stand up in front of that gun. And yeah.
What's the
And
thing that I've watched enough episodes of Dateline to be like, the thing about like not that you should ever obviously you shouldn't rob a bank anyway, but like banks actually don't have that much money. Your
yeah, I bet you're
average
you're right.
bank, like this
The
looked like a
cash on
fancier
hand.
bank,
Yeah.
but like they really don't have think most banks have like a couple $1,000.
Yeah, like the ready
And
cash.
it's like, is it, I mean, it's, of course it's not worth it, but I'm just saying that, like, if you're thinking you're getting like this huge payday,
I know. Not the smartest guys, bank
no,
robbers.
not the smartest.
And
Don't
usually they
do it.
put in, at least in Salt Lake City when I was working for the radio station and uncover some of these things, they would put in a die pack in the bag
Oh
of
yeah,
money.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
True. That
So
too.
as they're escaping, poof, the money. And then you're like,
Mhm.
well, yeah.
Yeah. So don't do it. Like,
Don't rob
obviously,
banks, folks.
obviously, but,
You're gonna have some,
it's
yeah,
extra dumb. Don't do it.
extra
Anyway,
dumb.
uh, so then there, so he gets his training, and then we get the and I kind of, do they ever show like any of his training at all, or talk about that, or is that
I
kind
don't
of
think so.
like
I mean, they
later
refer
on?
back to it, but we never really see the academy.
Because that would have been
But
interesting.
yeah, no, they kind of jump forward in time there, and they
Yeah,
often refer back to at the academy or when we were in training.
yeah,
But they jump. I mean, the story picks up with him on his first day as a rookie,
yeah,
and the other two rookies with him, and that went through
yeah. So
training together.
there's Nathan's character. What's his name?
John Nolan.
John Nolan. That's right. John Nolan. So there's John Nolan, Lucy Chang, and Jackson West.
Yes.
And they're pretty fun. I like both. I like them, their
Yes.
characters.
Yeah. And because people might wonder, well, how are you at 8 seasons and you're still calling it the rookie because you grow out of being a rookie?
Uh-huh.
Each year we have new rookies on the force.
Okay.
And so there's a journey where John Nolan takes of being a training officer and so on and so forth. And then we get new rookies that come on. And so the cast kind of grows, though some characters leave. But yeah, for now, for the first 2 seasons, I think it's those three main ones that you see with their training officers.
So Jackson West is played by Titus Macon Jr. and Lucy Chen Melissa is played by Melissa O'Neill.
She, fun fact about her, won Canada's American Idol when she was a teenager. And
Oh,
she can sing, and
oh my gosh.
it shows up in a really fun episode down the road, and you're like, oh, she can sing. And then it's just super fun. And then there are other two characters that come on that used to be backup dancers for Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson. So it's just kind of fun
Oh,
because
that
all this
is
behind the
fun.
scenes stuff of these actors, and they just do the funnest TikToks, and you
Yeah.
really will start to love this cast and these characters once you start to go down that rabbit hole
Yeah.
of getting to know them.
So then we have, it's Officer Gray, right?
Yeah,
The
he's Sergeant right now, Sergeant
sergeant.
Gray.
Sergeant Gray is the boss, and
Hmm.
he says, I hate what you represent, a walking midlife crisis.
Hmm. Oh yeah. And right now, y'all might hate Sergeant Gray, but I'm trying not to do spoilers. But I think you'll grow to see his all sides of his character.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I think he'll be good. Yeah. I mean, you gotta have some conflict,
exactly.
So and then it kind of goes through, it's a little bit hard to kind of talk because there's just like a bunch of various stops, different arrests
Hmm.
and calls and everything. And I was impressed during these sections. It did feel pretty like boots on the ground, handheld camera, pretty
Yeah, they
authentic, I
show
think, for this kind of show.
exactly. You see that. You see different angles from their body cameras. You see angles on the shop or the car camera. I
Yeah.
really like that about this is the different perspectives you get as they're going through their day of different calls and things.
Yeah. And so there's a crazy man with a bat.
Yeah.
like and then there is a man who leaves his kid in this car, and
Oh,
that's when
yeah.
she's like, seeing a dead kid, it changes you.
Hmm.
And so they're very worried that this kid they're gonna find him dead. They find it, and he's just more passed out, but he wakes
Hmm.
up, and so they were so relieved to save the kid. So
Yeah.
that was compelling.
And that took some good observation and detective work where Nolan had noticed what the guy had said and he's looking, they do a grid search, but then he's thinking there's a clue here. And I love that kind of part of
Yeah,
what this show shows.
yeah, yeah. And he says, celebrate the victory, but admit you have work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They never let him, like any of the rookies. They're very stringy with their praise. The TOs, the training officers, and Sergeant Gray, where they're kind of saying, "Look, it's our job to harden you up, and you got to do your job." And sometimes I think just give them a teeny bit of praise for a job well done
Yeah.
before moving on to next.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be hard because for them, this is like every day, maybe it doesn't even feel like a victory. This is just like this is a morning.
Hmm.
But to new recruit, this is like huge.
Hmm. Like,
So
oh my goodness. And yeah,
yeah.
the others are like, okay, this is what you do. You're an officer,
Yeah.
you're.
Yeah, that's got to be hard about being a police officer or firefighter is like these kinds of things that are like something that you would in the average human being, if you're not like a gang member, the average human being, like this is maybe one thing that would you talk about your whole life, right?
Yes.
It'd be
Yes.
like one of the biggest events of your whole life. And for the officers, it's like a morning,
Hmm.
unless it's something
Hmm.
truly like obviously like something like a school shooting or something like
Dramatic.
that's going to be
Yes.
extra trauma. But I'm just saying like that's got to be sort of a weird dynamic of something that's like I'm sure doctors also experience that because like
Yes, I think of
you
my
know
sister-in-law worked in an emergency department, and the kinds of things she saw.
yeah
And I think about
'cause-
in this show, in future episodes, they kind of bring in a little bit about how they have like a counselor on staff, like police
uh-huh
counseling, which I think must be needed because
yeah
otherwise, how could you're a human? How could you not feel the emotion of what you're going through? At the same time, you have to detach from it. I saw that as
yeah
a police and crime reporter where you really did have to kind of not think about it or it would tear you apart.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because yeah, if you think about it, like if you obviously like having a baby is going to be like a huge moment of your life. Whereas like for an OBGYN doctor, it's like, this is what I do every day. Like
I
it's
know.
got to be a weird kind of balance,
These
to,
little miracles
to
that add up, but that it's exactly right. Like, oh, I deliver babies every day.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's a big deal to that mom, to that doctor.
of course.
Oh,
Yeah.
my doctor was so sweet. She gave me the biggest hug and she's like, we're having a birthday party today. And she made me feel so special each
Aw.
time. But then I thought, just 2 minutes, she's going to go down the hall and deliver another baby. But she made me feel special each
Yeah.
time.
Hey, this is David from the Piecing It Together podcast, a podcast about movies and the movies that inspire them. For over 4 years each week, a guest and I take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies we think were either an influence or connect in some other way. It's a fun, unique way to discuss films that leads to a great list of other movies to check out that either explore the same themes and ideas or maybe utilize similar filmmaking techniques. Including special episodes in our side series that twist the format, we've done over 200 episodes, so there's bound to be one on a film you've been thinking about and want to dig deeper into. So check us out on all the major podcasting apps and at piecingpod.com.
I think that those are the really special caregivers. I would say
Hmm.
that don't that try at least to not forget that because I think
Yeah.
it'd be easy to do and have it just become routine.
Yeah.
It would be easy to let that happen, I think. But then we get this whole little plot of they meet this man and this woman. The man is getting like beaten, but he's like quick to discount his story because he's the man and it's the wife who's being the abuser. But then they end up coming back and yeah, it's been a bad situation.
It's a very bad situation.
Yeah. And she says, I felt him die.
I
And
know.
um and and that he feels like I allowed him to die
Hmm.
because I didn't take his concern seriously because he was the man and she was the woman.
I know. And his training officer, Tanya Bishop, is trying to kind of walk him through that. It's not your fault. You did everything
Mhm.
according to the book. You're supposed to rely on your training. And he's just still thinking, but what could I have done more? And that really haunts him for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of Talia in these two episodes as the trainer. What do you think of her?
She's pretty tough, and maybe he
Yeah.
needs that, but yeah, it's hard to not as a human be like, do you have any compassion? You
Yeah.
and same with Tim Bradford, the other TO who's training Lucy Chen. He's
Mhm.
super strict, and you find out later he's some of his backstory, but he's still like really by the book and just yells at her all the time. And um, so I couldn't take it myself if I thought, that I wanted to have be a 45-year-old rookie. But and I know it's just a show, but sometimes I think they are really hard on them. But
Well,
maybe it's what makes them better.
I like though that Talia, her gender isn't really factored in. Like she's not a girl boss.
Oh
She's
yeah.
not, you know what I mean? Like she's just like any other trainer.
Yeah, she is.
It's
Though
not
you
like
do
treated as a
see,
tough girl, but she's also not like, it's at least so far in these two episodes,
yeah,
she's
she's
like anybody
competent.
else.
Yeah. Same
Yeah.
with Angela Lopez, who's training Jackson West. And they both have ambition. Lopez
Yeah.
wants to be a detective. Bishop wants to she wants to be higher, like a sergeant, lieutenant, a commander. They have these
Yeah.
goals, and
But
they've
they're
got,
not in the like cliched girl bossy, look how like strong a
yes,
woman I am. Like they're
yeah,
just like any other training
officer.
characters, officers. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that. I think it was pretty well done. And
yeah.
uh, I felt like Talia and John had like a nice little chemistry
hmm
together.
They do. Their relationship is really special to watch. All of these training off TOs and rookies,
Mhm.
or boot as they yell at them. I love watching their relationship in this first season, how
Mhm.
they have do things differently, how they grow, how they work with each other, how they teach each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And so that worked pretty well to me. We find out that John is dating Lucy.
yeah. Behind,
Yeah.
kind of secretly. They started
Secret.
dating in
Yeah.
the
It's the
academy.
secret,
Yeah.
which would be a big age gap. Because isn't she
Yes.
28?
I think so. In this season, I think she is. Later, I think in last season she was 35. So that makes about the right. Yeah, it's a big age gap.
Yeah, big age gap. Which, whatever, is fine. I just wish that we had gotten a little bit of the backstory. Maybe we do, but how the heck did they end up getting together?
I know. And is this just like a rebound thing for him who was just divorced and he's, to his longtime wife, they had a
Yeah.
child together. So it seems like it's kind of oh, this is kind of a fun fling. We met in the academy during the stressful time and we kind of bonded over that. And now we're
Yeah.
just going to have some fun, is
The
kind
one
of what it
thing
feels like.
that got me though is I was like, what is this house that they are in? I mean,
Huge house.
it was a mansion. That I mean, I don't even want to. You're talking like a $50 million house at least in Los
In
Angeles.
LA.
Like, I
And he's a
mean, a
rookie. Yeah.
huge house. I'm like, what on earth? But I guess they do explain that later.
Yeah, there's like a throwaway
Okay.
line. It's either in the first or second episode where he just kind of mentions that it's his friend's house. But it's so
Okay.
fast, a lot of people miss it. And you're like, how does this
Rich
guy afford
friend.
this house? He's got a really
Yeah.
rich friend from college who's some like millionaire who's off, and so he's staying in his house with
Yeah.
him or
I
for
mean, they do
him.
that all the time on television shows, like
Yeah.
of course, on Friends is the ultimate one. Like,
Yeah.
how does this caterer and like semi waitress afford this giant apartment in Manhattan? And like, what?
I know.
But
I
that's all
know.
right. I mean, that apartment in Friends is probably at least $5,000 a month,
Yeah.
at
Oh yeah.
least.
And
Yeah.
this house in LA, I mean, it's ridiculous. You
Yeah.
later see some of the tiny apartments of some of the rookies and you're like, "Oh, that makes more sense."
Yeah.
On your salary.
I was like, they're living in this. I mean, it really was a mansion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think he moves out to like the guest house when his friend comes back.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually he has to get his own place, and that's
Yeah.
another season. But
Uh-huh.
where his contracting skills come to fruition again as he kind of works on it.
Yeah. It's interesting that they particularly mention that they are not detectives.
hmm hmm
So this is going to be like the sort of the grind of a cop as opposed to the detectives, which I think is interesting because I would think that somebody like him with all this life experience, you'd almost want him to be more of a detective.
Yeah. No, yeah, and that's like a path you can choose and try to work toward, because that's what Lopez is trying to become detective,
Mm.
and she's been on the force. I'm not sure how long. So I think in, at least in this universe of the LAPD, you have to kind of go through some steps of your career to get there.
Mhm. So then we have, Eric Winter's character,
Mhm.
Tim, is playing, I mean, he is the officer in charge of Lucy.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so he's pretty hard-nosed. He's
Oh,
pretty tough.
he is so rough. This was so hard for me to go back and watch these first few episodes, knowing who he is in season 7, but he's still tough in
Yeah.
season 7. I'm like, oh man, why do you have to be so mean? He is so, when he stops he's like talking to her, and then he's like, hits the brakes. I've been shot, Boot. Where am I? She's like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, I'm bleeding to death. Where are we? Call it in,
Yeah.
and she has no idea what street she's on. And he's like, I'm dead.
And Eric Winters, he's been in a couple Hallmark movies.
He has. He was in
Yeah.
The Magic of Ordinary Days with Kerry Russell. He was the
Yep.
young German soldier. And then the one over the summer,
Yeah. Takes some summer. It's not the best, but he was in it with his wife, which is
with his wife. Yes.
that's fun.
Yeah, that was super
Real
cute.
life wife.
His real life wife
That's fun.
in Taste of Summer. And he's the baseball player. It's kind of fun to see for
Mhm.
Hallmark fans that he's
I
in
mean,
this.
it's interesting that they paired. You have commanding officer female with recruit male. You have commanding officer male with recruit female.
Yeah.
I wonder if that is accurate, if that's what they would do, or if they would
Oh,
put,
yeah.
if in the real world they would put male male female female.
I wonder. Or if, like you said, it doesn't matter. It's, whoever
Yeah.
you are is, yeah, I'm curious too.
I mean, you might want one man with each team just for the strength, if you have somebody who needs to be
Subdued. So
yeah.
that's something I think about on the show all the time. I think about their training, right? And Lucy
Mhm.
takes down a guy, and you'll see it happen. But then I'm also thinking, no matter how much jujitsu or hand to hand or all that training you
Yeah.
get, sometimes a man is just huge and he's going to
Yeah.
overpower. I don't know. I'd be interested if people are listening and they have,
Yeah, I mean, unless you're like Bruce Lee or something like that, like very trained, yeah, then he's like a tiny man that could take down,
yeah.
pretty much anybody. But like for the average person, that would not be the case.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah. And I think about that too. They show on this show these women officers like taking down men, arresting them, a hand, cuffing them, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't do it.
So they might want, to actually split it up and make sure that that there was both in a
In a shop, in a car, on a team.
in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what does they call it? Not area. It's a
Your like patrol, your
patrol.
precinct.
Yeah. And so that would be interesting. If anybody is a police officer, tell us what you think. We'd love to
Yeah.
hear, 'cause we
Oh, I
know
would love some of
nothing.
that insight.
Yeah,
I mean, because
yeah.
we're going off of a show
Right, exactly.
and my own lack of muscles
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
experience.
So then we also see that Tim's wife, he confronts his wife. He hasn't seen her for a year. She's
Yeah.
strung out. She's a mess. So that's the beginning of a plot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Isabel. I probably shouldn't spoil it about how they met and who what's
Uh-huh.
become. Yeah, I won't. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it becomes a thing, and how Lucy Chen and interacting with him over that whole conflict he has here with his, because you see he's so tough, and then he sees her and his face is just like stricken and softer. He's like, Isabel, it's me, it's your,
Yeah.
Oh, and it's so sad because she's just is druggy now. She's an
Yeah.
addict. And yeah, didn't
Addiction
start
is
that way.
brutal. It is
Mhm.
brutal. I extremely admire anyone who can crawl their way out of it. It
I
is
know.
not easy. It is.
Well, and that's a warning maybe for those who are listening who might think about this show. The show does touch on some very heavy topics. These
Yeah.
things that could be hard for somebody who's dealing with that in their own life or with a loved one or a family member, like domestic violence, like
Mhm.
addiction. There's just a whole bunch of things that come up that these officers deal with, and that is a part of humanity, but is really hard to process for, I think, some people.
Yeah, that's true. So then there's this whole standoff, this like shootout, and Lucy ends up shooting this guy in the leg,
to
try to
decapacitate
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says, it's talking about his wife. He says, if you keep it a secret, it will brand you. And if you don't have a weakness, then you're not a cop. Yeah. So
I forgot
you
about that part.
gotta tell everybody what's going on. Because it will be in the back of your mind if you don't do something. And they says that I thought I had to become someone else to do this job, but I was wrong.
I like that line. Yeah. That you really come with who you are to something. Yeah.
And then he has this whole conversation. I think it was with the sergeant. He says that this job is my calling. And he says, if the job is my calling, then nothing I do to you will matter.
Yeah, that was such a confrontation, wasn't it? This kind of like nose to nose almost, like, listen, I'm gonna stick around, and Sergeant Gray being like, okay then, but I'm still gonna give it to you,
Yeah, I think this is an entertaining pilot. As someone who never watched any of it before, I think for the procedural that it's trying to be, I think, like I said, I thought the action was pretty well filmed. It was pretty well done. The characters were likable and engaging. The dialogue was pretty good. Like overall, I was like, yeah, I could imagine watching the show.
Good. I'm so happy you said that. Because I want you to keep watching it and then message me.
Okay.
Like, wait a minute, what just happened? And I'll walk you through
let us know in the comment section if you want more coverage. Because obviously they're going to be on 8 seasons, so we technically could cover it in a lot of different ways. We could, like, for Drop Dead Diva, Jasmine and we covered like the whole season in an episode. Like season 1 recap, season 2. We've also done different recaps where we've done like for Chicken Sisters, we did basically 2 recaps part of the season because I didn't like it that much. And then for like Heartland, we did 3 episodes and a recap, and that took us literally, I think it took us 4 years.
That's a long show, long running.
Long. But anyway, so there's lots of options if we just need to know what the interest is. If there's people that would be interested in that, then let us know
and want to talk about it.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So episode 2 is called Crash Course. And this episode is Talia forces Nolan to confront his personal moral inclinations after he encounters a kidnapping victim. Lucy is temporarily placed with a new training officer who tests her patience, and Jackson confronts his shortcomings. So what do you think of this second episode?
Yeah, there's a lot that happens here too. And part of me was like, surely there's not this much crime all the time in Los Angeles, like day after day. But I mean, it's a big, big city,
It's a huge city.
Yeah, these huge big things that happen each episode. You're like, whoa, we have like a kidnapping and hostage situation, for example, that we're covering in this one. But the way that it balances, these calls and taking care of these big things versus these more not smaller, but personal character story moving along along the same track as these things are happening. I really liked that. I like seeing, how your personal issues or challenges or trials are in play during your job as an
Yeah.
officer.
Well, and you really do get a full feel of Los Angeles in watching the show. Like they really do go to kind of all the areas. And in this one, you're at the Hollywood Hills, you're even by the Hollywood sign. Like it's like that area with all if you've ever been in the Hollywood Hills, there's all these like crazy streets that go up these weird, like that with like that it's weirdly designed. Like no, but there is no design to it, especially as a Utahn going up there and being like, what's this weird street? What is going on? It's like a little,
yeah.
little strange. But it's like, I guess we just put a road here and then like there'll be like houses like crammed into these like weird lots, and it's just the Hollywood Hills is a very odd area.
Yeah, it's for sure.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I think about this all the time because here in Salt Lake, I'm used to the grid system and I can kind of figure my way out. But as a police officer in LA, like, how do you know? I mean, it's just so windy. Like, how do you know where you are and where you're going and how to cut somebody off? You must be just studying, or you have GPS in your shop in your car, but like you must be studying all the time where the streets are, where you need to be, where you're going, and what ends where, and dead ends. Yeah,
we're so spoiled here in Utah because it's so well designed, especially in that main part of Salt Lake. But pretty much the state is very well designed.
It is.
But so Los Angeles is the second most populous city in the country, and it's actually, I didn't realize that it was so much less than New York. New York is by far the most at 8.478 million residents. In New York. Los Angeles has 3.878.
Okay.
So
is that just like it's so sprawling. Like I think about this all the time about how they're trying to get somewhere fast. I'm like, no way. I've been to LA.
Oh yeah, I know. That's so true.
Hour to get there, but maybe they're just covering this small area in their precinct that I don't know, but he was up on the Hollywood Hills sign, so
yeah, it can take you literally hours to go 20 minutes in Los Angeles.
Oh,
it's a nightmare.
No kidding. Yeah.
The traffic, I don't know how they're going to do the Olympics. I really don't know how they're going to do the Olympics there. Like it's going to be a nightmare.
It's so bad.
I mean, I know they did it once before in the 80s, but
it's different now. Yeah, 40
it's
years
different
later.
now. And like, how are you going to get everybody everywhere that they need to be? It's going to be hard.
It's rough.
But that's going to be interesting to watch. See how that comes together. But I also think that probably that New York, they must count more of the boroughs.
In that number, I could see that.
Must be.
Yeah, I mean,
it's obviously not
just be Manhattan.
Yeah, exactly. It's obviously not just Manhattan, so it must include
the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Yonkers.
Exactly. Yeah. So that would be interesting to know. But anyway, it's the second biggest city in the country, one of the biggest cities in the whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously.
Because there's some big ones like Tokyo and Rio and Sao Paulo and Lima. I swear everything's called Lima, but I'm like, that's like 5 cities smushed into one.
Tokyo,
Mexico City. Yeah.
Tokyo is 14 million. Oh my gosh. So
I just think same thing. It must cover the suburbs.
Almost double of New York, though. I didn't realize.
Or it has no suburbs, actually. Yeah. Yeah. The metro area for Mexico City, for example, I think it could take you hours to get from one end to the other. And I just think that's got to be like the whole state of Mexico City, Mexico. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. That's interesting. So is Tokyo and now this is a tangent, but I'm just curious.
What is the biggest?
Let's see here. Yep. Tokyo is the most populated city in the world.
Okay.
I guess with a population of over 37 million people in its metropolitan area. Wow.
And they did the Olympics.
That's true.
But I
They
think they have a
did.
lot.
That's true.
But they have, trains, subways, metro.
Yeah. That's true. And they also did the Winter Olympics, which are smaller.
Oh yeah, than summer. Yeah.
You know.
They're no, wait. Did they do summer in 2021? What am I thinking of? Now we're both Googling stuff. They did the summer games in 64,
2020.
And then the 2020,
you're
which
right.
were postponed
2021.
Yeah, they were summer.
I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was such a weird time. Everything's kind of blocked for me from like 20 to 22. I've just kind of blocked it out of my memory.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I knew that Tokyo was a big city, but I didn't realize it is. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
The biggest cities in the world, Tokyo, number 1, and Delhi in India.
Oh, that makes sense.
Is 2. Shanghai is 3.
Makes sense.
Sao Paulo is 4, and Mexico City is 5, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York is way down the list. I didn't realize that's
like Ryan Hamilton,
New York
the comedian.
New York is 11.
About that. Yeah, he's like, oh, you New Yorkers think you can show up somewhere and be like, I'm the mayor now.
Yeah,
if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Mexico City, Cairo, Mumbai, Beijing, Dhaka, and Osaka.
Oh, another Japan.
Osaka is bigger than New York.
That's that, Big Apple.
Yeah.
Where's LA though? I mean,
let's see. Los Angeles is 24.
Okay. It's just because the traffic's so bad.
The traffic is a nightmare. I mean, it really is awful.
Yeah. And not just on the freeways, but even like the surface streets. And so these guys are like, these officers are just scooting here and there. Of course, they do have sirens and stuff, but sometimes they have to get somewhere fast. Like they'll go to the hospital and back a lot. They'll go to the station and back a lot. And I just think that takes your whole day driving.
Yeah. So they're in the Hollywood Hills. They're holding up this car, and this woman gets out and she's dressed in a wedding dress, and he's like, I can't believe this.
I know. I'll tell you this about this show. You know how the term a cold open? Yeah, you know that because you're smart. I think The Rookie has some of the best cold opens or like openings to the show than any I've seen, besides Brooklyn Nine-Nine, probably. Where they just have this little kind of story within the story that it begins with, that you just jump right into your officers being involved in something crazy and having to kind of figure it out. Yeah. This is one of those with this bride.
Well, he doesn't love heights, and she gets on the actual Hollywood sign.
Yes.
Which was kind of hilarious. And then you see her hanging from her dress at the Hollywood sign.
He's swinging, and he's a little help here. He's like holding on to her veil or gown.
Yeah, that was funny. We find out that he buys a lottery ticket every week.
Yeah, that sense of something anticipation, that hope or something to look forward to. Yeah. That
was nice moment. And because this woman freaked out because she caught her fiance with her cousin on the wedding day, because obviously she's in her dress and everything.
Oh,
poor lady. But then we have this woman who stabbed a man, and she still has the bloody knife and everything.
Oh,
so there's that. I mean, I could never do anything medical or even anything in this
I sometimes have to tell myself it's just a show, that's fake blood, because I start to get I still love it, but I start to get a little like, this is violent.
And then there's one woman who is found that had been kidnapped, but they're still looking for this woman, Emma. She tells them about it. There's another woman there
who's been held against her will.
the basement, and then she's like, the only thing I could hear was it kept saying, wait, 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 wait. And
Mhm.
they figure out that that's the traffic
The crossing
sign,
signal.
crossing sign.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's for
Wait,
that
wait.
particular intersection because of the school for the blind or something that's
Uh,
nearby. So it speaks out loud to you, wait, wait, wait. And that's good detective work because
yeah.
they really were just going to do a grid system and house to house canvas. And then she's like, wait a minute, I think I know pinpoint where that is because of that sound.
Yeah, that was smart.
Good police
Eh,
work.
Yeah. And then yeah, this thing, it turns into like a Lifetime movie.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know,
and we're like
right? Goodness.
stuck in the basement, the whatever, the Emma
Oh,
story. Oh,
absolutely. Like there's a
terrible,
crossover. Let's hear this whole
awful.
story. Because sometimes on the
Yeah.
rookie,
Oh,
you have this case and you are invested in these people and then it moves on. Like we've solved that case. Now the next one. And you're like, what happened to
yeah.
that girl? Is she okay?
Right.
Is she getting
Yeah.
the help she needs?
Yeah, it's very tense. It's scary. But then they was it an officer who was abducting them? Did
He
he have a
was,
badge on?
yeah, I think he was either pretending to be or was a
Oh,
security
pretending to
officer.
be.
I think he was
Okay.
my gut was he was pretending to be one for that trust factor because you just
Uh-huh.
see because at first, like Nolan and Bishop, they were like, well, why would we talk? Oh, he's the security officer. We can, let's go talk to him instead of being like,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't even think, oh, he's the suspect until you get in there and you're like, ah, he's the suspect.
Yeah. Well, then they see the masks in the
Yeah.
car, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's good." And they find Emma chained in the basement, and
Oh.
um, and that was pretty intense. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There's some of these, your heart's just pounding.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Lucy tells John that she just wants to keep things casual,
Well, because Bishop's on her back. She's
right?
like, you need to break it off, girl. And she's always like looking at her and watching her, like she's got eyes on
Uh-huh.
her. Like, I saw you give him
Yeah.
a flirty wink. Cut it. She keeps telling her, you need to end this relationship. Stop it right now. And so Lucy is like, well, and Lucy doesn't want to yet, I don't think, but at the same time, she doesn't want to go public with it. She's just kind of like, let's keep it casual.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and she definitely doesn't want the boss to know.
No, it's a conflict of interest. Now, well, no, wait, not conflict of interest. What's the word? So technically, I think they're on the same level. So there's no now, if he was her supervisor, there's an issue
Mm,
for sure. But they're
yeah.
both rookies, but you would have to disclose it. I'm pretty sure, because otherwise, I mean,
Yeah,
he
I
may,
would think that HR would definitely want you to
yeah,
disclose a
disclose that relationship.
relationship,
Yeah,
because if you're going to get us assigned on a project together, like they would at least want to know, because I could see, I've obviously no knowledge of this, but I could see it going both ways, like that being like a strength of the
yeah.
partnership or a weakness of the partnership. And so you would want to at least know, I would think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess conflict of interest would be the correct thing because what if there was an investigation into one of those officers and there was, it comes to light that you were in a romantic relationship,
Yeah.
but there was an issue, that can she testify in court that he
Yeah.
did, all that sort of thing.
That's true. If somebody made a mistake, would you be more likely to hide it or not want to talk about it,
Yeah.
because of the relationship? So
Yeah.
I can
You need
see
to be
that. That would
all
make
on the up and up
sense. Yeah,
for,
yeah.
yeah.
So, and then he gets told after seeing those women get chained up, he says, "You can't let the evil infect you.
Oh,
Everything, everything is a test.
yeah.
Everything."
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That would be really hard. I mean, I'm sure that like they don't have like dramatic I'm sure these kinds of incidences are not on a daily basis, but it obviously going to happen more than to you and I,
Yeah.
like it kind of
Yeah.
would be hard mentally.
I know. And they actually brought in counselors for us when I was at the news station
Mm,
because if you're just covering so many of those, you start to get a warped sense of reality where you think
yeah,
everybody's evil, evil happens all the time, and you kind of have to
true.
step back and think, okay, in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
you're hyper focused on these bad things, but yeah.
That's true. It's like people sometimes think that it's way more dangerous to be a child now that we have this sort of idyllic memory of the 80s, the kids
Yeah.
were free to, well, and actually child crime has gone down.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
safer now. It's just we hear about it more now.
Yes.
So we're more aware of everything that happened than we were then. So we could be kind of
Yeah.
blissfully naive in the 80s.
I know, right? It's so true. When maybe there was the nightly news you watched with your parents, maybe you didn't, and then you didn't
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
now it's everywhere. It's just in your
Yeah.
face all the time, all the bad things that happen. And you have to look at the statistics and look at probabilities and look at
Yeah.
and realize, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. And you have to live. Like you can't
Live in fear.
Yeah, you have to live. And if at a certain point, like you can have a modicum of safety, reasonable safety, but at a certain point you have to live. And
I know.
what God's gonna have happen is gonna happen.
I know. And maybe that's why I love Hallmark movies so much, is because I worked so long in the news that I needed this escape of this beautiful endings. And yes, people go through trials and challenges, but the hope of a happy ending is like a beautiful thing. And it also may be why I love the Rookie and this cop show in particular so much, is because I see the way that people are trying to make a difference, like these officers are really trying to make their city safer, I love watching how they protect and serve, and it helps me feel safer in a small way, even though it's just a show. Like, that's right, we've got good men and women in the blue that are trying their best out there. And so,
do you feel like it's a show that has maintained its quality pretty good going into season 8?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because I'll occasionally see some criticism online for a random episode or two where people are like, okay, that was out of the blue, or that was weird, or why did you do that? But overall, absolutely. I still love the storylines and the characters and the things they're going through, and I don't know, but I'm really invested at this point.
Well, I asked on Twitter, let me find it. I asked, what do people think? Tuesday says, love it, but then anything with Nathan and I'm in. The girly nurse says, I haven't watched it, but it's one I'd like to try sometime because I like Nathan Fillion. I was a big Castle fan. And Scott says, I really like it. The cast is great. Dylan Gonzalez, I've watched from the beginning, and it's a very good procedural. Nice blend of humor and thrills. Characters' dynamics are at the forefront over plot, which I always value. And I can see that even in these 2 episodes, that the focus really is on the characters.
Yes. And that's what I think has kept me with the show, because now there are others, people argue it's nice to have a show where you can just dip in and out and it's more plot driven or like more action driven, and then you don't need to know that much. I like to know about these characters. I love to know about their stories and their past and their hopes and things, especially as we go along and you meet some new folks and it changes some of our main characters. That's my favorite part.
I think if something's going to be a purely procedural, I think the writing has to be really good.
Yeah,
like Law and Order. I mean, the writing for that show was very solid for a long time. Plus, it's. I mean, they did have some good characters in that show, but it was also both the Law and the Order. So like there was plenty to entertain in the course of a 44-minute episode on there. But the writing has to be on point if it's purely about the case and the case to do. So Trisha, she says, I love it. I've been watching from the very beginning. There are good ships, characters, humor, action. I also love the cast.
I agree.
So a lot of fans going on there.
Good.
So that's great. Let's see if I got any other quotes. No quotes yet. Okay, good. So that is what people are talking about with The Rookie. It's always fun to try out a new to me show.
Yes,
it is
kind of dip your toe into a new fandom, in a way.
And it's fun that UpTV is airing this. I guess it's going to be every night this week at least. At 7 Eastern, and I'm not sure if that will be continuing on, if that's just for this 4th of July week. But anyway, it's at UpTV, And so you should definitely check that out. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Uptv back to back every night, 7 Eastern, starring Nathan Fillion. So I don't know how long that will continue, if it's just for this week, but anyway, it's going to be on Uptv, and you should definitely give it a shot. Let us know what you think. If you're new to it, if you are a big fan, everything in between, we want to hear your thoughts, and let us know what kind of coverage, if you'd like any coverage, what kind of coverage you'd like. Let us know. That would be great.
I know.
And thanks so much. And Mary, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm at Twitter @_ Mary Richards. I'm Mary Richards Reports on Instagram and Reporter Mary Richards on Facebook.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. If you're listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That helps the algorithm a lot. It helps people to find us. The more reviews we have, it only takes a second of your time. We really, really appreciate it. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers are not subscribers, and about 80% of our viewers are not subscribers. So if you're in that camp, please, please, please subscribe and like the video. That really will help us a lot. And we're almost at 10K, and that would be very exciting. So please do that. And then we have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can support everything we're doing. We have monthly patron watch-alongs and Q&As. We have bonus episodes. We have extra early episodes. Our Facebook group, we really try to make it worth your investment to be a part of the Patreon. And then we have our merch store where we have tons of fun Hallmark inspired designs, other things going on there. Check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.